Good morning, my name is Matt Palmer. I'm a Deputy Chief and Shift Commander with the City of Stamford Fire Department in Stamford, Connecticut. I'm the Shift Commander for one of our 4 working groups within the department, overseeing the Operations Division. Each group has approximately 55 firefighters and fire officers. We staff 9 engine companies, 3 truck companies, 1 heavy rescue company, and the Incident Command Vehicle, which consists of a Deputy Chief and a Deputy Chief's aide. The City of Stamford currently has about 135,000 residents. During the daytime population, we have a significant corporate population, commuter population that comes in. The population can swell upwards of 250 to 300,000 additional people during the day. The city is approximately 52 square miles. It's located about 35 minutes outside of Manhattan in lower southwestern Connecticut. We do about 12,000 incident responses per year, and we are an all-hazard agency that responds to fire, emergency medical services. We have specialized teams for technical rescue services, a hazardous materials team, and we also have our own fireboat. Fire Department is an all-hazard response agency. We're here on the waterfront this morning. You can see we have a lot of large marinas, so we do have a fireboat. During the summer months, we are quite busy with water-related emergencies. In addition, in the background, you can see a number of the new high-rises that we have. We have a large number of high-rise developments that have been going up in the past 25 years downtown in the city, but the city is quite diverse. We have residential neighborhoods, we have urban areas downtown, and then we have up towards the northern end of the city is much more of a rural area.
I'm Frank Docimo Jr. I'm the Mechanical Supervisor for the City of Stamford Fire Department. I run the maintenance shop, and I'm in charge of all the apparatus maintenance, and I help out with the specifications of new vehicles and acquisition of equipment. So our day-to-day can consist of anything from maintenance of vehicles to small equipment, all the ancillary vehicles in the city. We have a fire boat. We move a lot of specialty stuff around, whether it's supplies or other equipment to some of the outhouses, fire hydrant installations, excavations, deliveries. We handle a lot of that stuff too. We do all the testing that's required by NFPA, so ladders, hose, pumps. All the SCBA for the city comes through us, and we work with every division, fire marshals, administration, the suppression division, the volunteer component of the city. My background is in emergency vehicle upfits. I used to do that before I came on the department here. So when I came into the garage, pretty much everything of ours is done in-house. All of our warning light, siren, technology installations, radios, that's all done in-house. When we first discussed about doing this truck, I knew that it was going to be very heavy on technology, very heavy on wiring and electronics, and I really needed to help find a vendor that was going to be able to put all that together for us with the cabinetry in a manner that would be acceptable to me, and I'm probably a little more critical on that stuff than some other customers would be, just based on my background. One of the big things that we were looking for was the fit and finish. The cabinet is solid and tight. We're not worried about any failures on that. The wiring, just because of the value of a lot of the equipment that's in this, the computers, the screens, the radios, everything's loomed, labeled. All the pass-throughs are all almost like a marine grade type pass-through. It's not just a grommet with silicone.
Our relationship with 1075 vehicles started about 2 years ago. We had a number of smaller Chiefs vehicles that needed some upfitting, and they were able to build us the customized modules for the rear of the vehicle, and we had 3 of those vehicles done. The vehicle behind me, we've been working on for approximately 6 years, first from concept to the actual finished reality. 1075 was really able to do an excellent job, taking our vision and making it a reality, and the final truck was as close to perfect as you could get, and taking all the different requests that we had made, both prior and during the build process, and some of the changes that we required in getting it to the finished product that we have here today. We were able to go down to the shop and take a look at that, and we realized that they'd be an excellent fit for us for doing this type of build, which was significantly more complicated than some of the smaller vehicles we had done. The Deputy Chief's truck will respond to about 2,300 incidents per year. It responds to any time we have 3 or more apparatus assigned to an incident. It'll go from commercial fire alarms, it'll go to technical rescues. In addition, it'll also go to all structural related incidents or any kind of special hazard or special request that's needed that would require the need for a deputy chief on scene. The big difference for us is that we were able to transition from a suburban style vehicle into a pickup truck vehicle, which was able to get turnout gear out of the cab. It was able to give us more space in the cabin and gave us a much quieter cab. So communication between the deputy chief's aide and the deputy chief was much better while en route to incidents. We also had better monitoring of our emergency radio channels during incidents, because we had a much more user-friendly cab than we had over a previous type of vehicle. On the back of the module on the curbside, our focus was, for one, trying to get all the gear out of the cab. Previously, we carried the gear in the cab. We wanted to kind of get a lot of that away from it. So one of the nice things that we were able to do with 1075, it's a standard ARE cap that we ordered through 1075, but we really didn't like the boxes that were provided by ARE, and one of the suggestions was to omit them and then have 1075 build it. So using 1/8 and 3/16 aluminum, it was made in their shop, and we were able to get a transverse compartment and also get additional depth for the curbside compartments, which really helped us out a lot and was able to take that vision. We had drawn this out, and we were a little worried about finding someone who could do just exactly what we wanted, and we really got exactly what we wanted. And it's a high quality product. You're not going to get this with the standard caps, and you can see from the welds down to the quality material, and the fit was really exceptional for us. So we have our PP here. It is transverse, and one of the things we did was we put an adjustable wall in there as well that allows that wall to slide. If over time we decide that we don't need the space or we want to adjust the space, we do have a sliding wall that'll adjust for us. Moving further back, we got a couple standard hand lights here. We moved our Knox box back to this location here. We've got 2 portable radio chargers here that allow us to either carry just a spare battery, or we can keep a portable radio back here if we need to. Helmet storage was provided by our shop here, and then we can take our CF33 tablet and move it back here, which allows that information to transfer onto one of the monitors in the back. And we have additional outlets and fuse boxes, so we can easily, as time goes on, if we add additional instruments moving forward, whether it be meters or whatever comes down, whatever is needed down the road.
Moving on to the driver's side bed storage area, we've got the other side of the transverse, which just housed some of the gear that the deputies carry, PFDs, rope bag, EMS gear. We have a redundant Panasonic Toughbook that runs our Scott software, and that's just basically for an instance where we cannot get the car close enough to the building that we're operating in, and they want to be able to take that Scott air pack monitoring software closer to the command post. Just a couple little various EMS stuff. The deputy chief's car has a thermal imaging camera, a pack tracker, defib, set of binoculars, and then basically the mirror image of what is on that other wall on the other side, which gives us 12 volt ignition, 12 volt constant, and 120 off of the inverter. Those were convenient for us because all this was added once it got back to our shop, and it saved us from having to run a bunch of wire into that area to add up the charges that they wanted. This command module is pretty involved. As you can see, we have the 3 touchscreen monitors. They're actually being provided information from 3 different sources. This screen is a pass-through from the dock that's located on that passenger side compartment, and that just basically allows the deputy to take his tablet out of the front, put it in the back, and move that data to here. Inside this housing, there's a lot going on. We've got 12 volt, we've got power from the inverter, we've got antennas coming in for some of the radios, we've got our Scott receiver for our air packs, and all that's being pushed into 2 computers that are located inside this box. These are all touchscreen, they're all waterproof, and then there are some small whiteboards actually on all 3 sides, so technically if you had 3 separate people working off of this workstation, they would have their own whiteboard to take some notes on. There's also a filing cabinet and a little storage tray on this side. We really wanted to maximize our storage capacity, so there are some spaces that were kind of available, and that's where 1075 was able to lay out this cabinet on CAD and say, hey, we have a couple square feet of space, what do you guys want to do? So They opted to go with a little storage bin, which worked out good for some ancillary equipment, regulators and masks for the chiefs. There's a trailer hitch instead of keeping it on the truck. We've got it there. We have a set of ballistics gear for the deputy and his aide, and that was just a good spot to put that stuff because it is heavier equipment, but with the rating on our slide, it was able to pick up the capacity of the equipment.
One of the things we did with ARE, we had a lot of discussion over what type of doors. We went with the full-size rear door. It gave us actually a nice rain lid too, in addition to being a singular door, but it also allowed the immediate workstation to have a nice protection from weather if we need to. So it is a sliding module. It's an electric module, which is something we asked for specifically, which you can either use a manual button or a remote control. Frank's using a remote control. So if need be, we can eject this quite a distance away from the vehicle. It doesn't have to, it'll still operate in whatever position we need to, but this is fully extended at this point. It really becomes our nerve center at Incidence. One of the things that the deputies really wanted to hold on to, and it's really location dependent, certain areas downtown we could operate from the back of the truck. There's certain areas, depending on how much distance we have to travel in location, where we may have to go back to the conventional command board that we've used for the better part of the past decade. So we still have this here, and what's nice about this is I can use both in this location too. So I can easily operate this in this location. It'll open up, and we can still use a conventional whiteboard that we've become very, very accustomed to, or we can switch to some of the newer technology and use that as well, and do a hybrid system where we're using both. So we have that option here. If the aide needs to, this will easily come right out of here, and they can carry it up to the scene if the vehicle is not able to get close enough to the scene, depending on when we arrive at the scene. We also have another adjustable tray here that gives us the full depth of the compartment. This is currently carrying our tent. We do have to be concerned with weather with so many electronics on this. If this was to be fully extended and we had to be concerned about whether we do have a standard easy up tent that we can set up and weight down if we're going to be at a long duration incident, and that's a concern of ours. And we have additional space that we haven't filled yet, and that's always good for future expansion. We have a couple of radio heads that have been installed here for fireground operations. One goes back to dispatch, and we have a future expansion port here that'll also have a radio head when it arrives. It's been back ordered from the manufacturer. That'll be installed locally by our mechanical staff. In the front, we have a center console that was designed by 1075. We have our standard fire radio. We also have our repeater head here, which allows us to control our fireground operations. We have a Wayland CENTCOM controller here. This vehicle actually has two different sirens. The old vehicle had difficulty on responses and getting attention in intersections. So we were able to we put both a Federal and a Wayland with 3 different speakers in here. So this vehicle not only has a light presence, but it also has an audio presence. It's certainly done a better job for us as far as gaining people's attention, particularly in intersections downtown and congested areas. We have an MDT, it's a CF31 tablet style MDT that we have here. We've adjusted this a little bit over our initial idea which type of bracket we had, but we found that the location of this one with this style bracket here is working best for us. It's a Havas style bracket. So this is the deputy chief has access to radios here for both fireground and for dispatch. One thing that we also keep in Stamford is our Adachi command and control software we run on this Surface style tablet that runs here, that we can also do our command and control software. And we still have also behind us mounting for an additional iPad, which also has incident management software using the tablet command software, which is what we're migrating away from. But we have options for deputy for any incident management. They can either use the tablet command or the Adachi command and control, and also have access to there. So we have a lot of information that we're seeing, a lot of good mapping, a lot of resources from hydrants to alternative water supply, particularly up north where we have non-hydrant areas of the city.
We tried to keep the cab a little clean, a little less busy than the predecessor cars where we had the Knox box and all the portable chargers mounted in the console. It got very, very busy. So some of that equipment, as we spoke earlier about, moved into the cap and the storage compartments. There's actually 4 separate radios on board this vehicle. The main fire radio is split between 2 heads, one here, one in the command cabinet. The next one down controls our FutureCom repeater. There's an extra radio that's in the command module, and then there's an extra radio beyond that that is going to tie into that command software that we're running. We went with the Whale and Core system, so everything light, siren, control is pretty much all built in here. Traffic advisor, all those functions work off of this controller. We have a EQ2B. The driver's side also includes the inverter controller, which controls how the screens and everything on the command center operate in the back. We added a couple other things in the cab area. We just added a red and white dome light, so if they're trying to read at night, they have a little extra interior lighting. The speakers for the repeater and the main fire radio are in the headliner, which is a nice feature, gets them out of the console. We wanted to try to centralize all the vehicle electronics basically in two places. The main components that run the vehicle are located within the passenger compartment under the rear bench seat. And what this allowed us to do was maintain use of this seat so the chiefs can have that extra room that they wanted to carry a passenger or move personnel around during the day without having a bunch of gear and stuff in the way like we used to. So within this area, 1075 was able to design this cabinet which houses pretty much everything. It gives me and the other personnel at the garage very, very easy access at everything that controls the car, the core, the siren controllers, the radios, the repeater, the modem. And there's other people that access this stuff as well, such as our IT guys. Having all the fuses in one spot and labeled is huge for us. It saves us a lot of looking around. Going through the process when we built out this car, we even had the team down at 1075 run us some extra circuits into that command cabinet, because that's got to go through the energy chain, and that's obviously long runs. So there are some spare Cat 5, Cat 6 cables that go to the console, that go to the back. There's spare antennas that we had just for either future expansion or in case we have a failure down the road. And we really couldn't be happier with the way that this turned out. It really brought everything into one central spot and made it very, very easy for long-term serviceability.
This was a tough job for 1075. I mean, Stamford Fire Department is a demanding customer. We had a lot of requests both before and during the upfitting process. I can say that without a doubt that the members at 1075, the entire team, Ryan, Matt, everyone back at the shop in New Jersey really kind of rose to the occasion and met all those requests and really exceeded our expectations when it came to the build process. And the final result was a vehicle that was, really what we had envisioned. The final product today exceeded our expectations, and we couldn't have been happier with the entire team down at 1075.